Good afternoon. This is Edwin Mulimi from the Oslo Center, Special Advisor. The Oslo Center is an independent, non-partisan, non-governmental organization. Main work area is democracy assistance, responding to requests by governments and political institutions across the world. In the last year's Paris Peace Forum, held in Paris in November last year, the Oslo Center presented its project on youth assemblies in Kenya. Youth assemblies is a youth project that drives non-partisan and democratic dialogue and consultations to advocate for youth needs, solutions in the society by engaging with subnational government and service providers. The youth assemblies build on local mechanisms using parliamentary structure and procedures to advance issues of concern to the youth and community at large. Youth assemblies builds on local mechanisms in our context of operations, where the Oslo centers work directly with local youth-led initiatives for governance and the inclusion in decision-making processes. The methodology the youth assembly use is unique. It operates leveraging on two platforms: the public youth forums, where youth congregate to dialogue and consult on issues that are of concern to them, and also make propose solutions to the challenges that they face, that they want addressed by the respective authorities within the subnational governance. Once the issues are collected from public forums, they are then brought forward to the parliamentary structure, where elected youth representatives debate these issues of concerns and pass them as policy resolutions drafted, adopted by the youth for action by the respective stakeholders and duty bearers. The mode of operation and the objective of the youth assemblies is to hold subnational governance structures and national structures accountable by engaging them and demanding for service delivery, oversight, and transparency in the discharge of their mandate. Youth utilize this democratic space that has been provided to them under the Kenyan law, under Article 55 of the Kenyan Constitution, that provides for space for youth to participate in political, socioeconomic, and other spheres of life by providing youth quotas. And under the same legal framework, the Kenyan Constitution provided for two innovations: devolution and public participation, as ways to enhance citizen participation directly in governance and determining the decisions that affect their day-to-day choices. building on the culture of democracy and civic activism. The structure provides an avenue where youth dialogue and consult relevant stakeholders, relevant subnational governance structures for service delivery, accountable service delivery, and also utilize the same platforms to provide civic education and report back to the youth and communities about the status of the issues raised and responded to by the respective duty bearers. So, operating and leveraging on the two platforms that is public participation forums, otherwise known as public barazas, the youth at very grassroots level engage with the respective subnational governance authorities, elected leaders, and other actors within their communities, bringing out issues of concern and together dialoguing on solutions to these challenges they face. Once these issues have been identified at the grassroots level, they are then brought into the parliament, the Youth Assembly Parliament, where they are taken through internal mechanisms that through the House Business Committee and the Standing Committee, where prioritization of policy issues is identified and requisite research on these issues of concern are then passed as policy resolutions by the youth in the target communities and brought forward to subnational governance for action. The follow-up of the implementation of this policy resolution as identified by youth is followed up by the cabinet within the structure that is tasked with the mandate to follow up with the respective duty bearers to identify an implementation plan on policy issues identified by the youth. Some of the issues that do not make it to Parliament for discussions are filed as committee reports, forwarded to the cabinet within the structure to follow up with the other relevant stakeholders as well. The methodology is unique in the sense that it is a bottom-up approach where issues raised by the youth emerge and are collected from the very grassroots level, brought into the internal structures within the assembly, passed as policy resolutions, and forwarded to governance authorities for action. Through the structure, the youth have managed, in response to the unprecedented times that we face, managed to collaborate with subnational governance structures to identify national health volunteers that have played a big role in national health and sanitization efforts towards combating the pandemic. Also through the structures, the youth have mobilized youth that have benefited from the national health and sanitization of employment opportunities to generate income and cushion them during these difficult times, even as the dire economic situations the youth face has further been compounded and exposed by the pandemic. Last year, we are humbled, privileged, and honored to have presented this project at the Paris Peace Forum and recognized as one of the solutions through which youth can be effectively be included in decision-making processes and governance processes at subnational and national level. As such, the Oslo Center embarked on a scale-up program to take the same project to 2 other counties within the country. Through the support of the Swedish Embassy in Kenya and Diaconia, the scale-up program has been made possible. And through the SCOOP committee and members have supported the Oslo Center in exploring new partnerships and innovative ways to continue strengthening youth participation in governance affairs. In Mombasa, despite the unprecedented times that we face, the Youth Assembly program managed to conduct a peaceful election and transition of power to a new leadership. And upon this completion of this process, the efforts recognized by the Paris Peace Forum, by the youth, have been continued, further strengthening the partnerships and the commitment from the subnational governance stakeholders to continue the mutually beneficial collaborative efforts and cooperation to bring about accountable service delivery and social change the youth desire to see. The unprecedented time through which this election was conducted has enabled us understand and appreciate the fact that it is important to continue supporting this kind of youth participation and inclusion efforts at subnational and national level for joint efforts to deliver responsive services and accountable governance within the jurisdiction. However, it has also been critical to integrate youth in entrenching democracy by strengthening the understanding of democratic processes and functions. And it is also critical that these youth are exposed to new knowledge and practices around democracy and democratic practices to continue protecting the civic space that is now facing an onslaught from authoritarianism and subversion of law by state actors, subverting law to consolidate and retain power. And therefore, it is critical that, especially during these unprecedented times, that we stay vigilant and continue to protect these democratic practices that are critical to the future of democracy In Lamu, during the scale-up, we also managed to initiate the scale-up program in Lamu, where the program was met with a lot of eagerness and enthusiasm to use the same structures, being acknowledged as timely by the youth, representing all the different 10 wards within Lamu County, to be a part of dialogue and consultations for consensus building that has proved to be an effective tool for holistic youth inclusion in governance processes that is responsive to local dynamics, context, and needs. Through dialogue, consultations, and building consensus, the dynamics that are so divisive within these localities have been well managed, going further to demonstrate the importance of these components of democracy in building a united, cohesive society through the youth assemblies. Despite the fact that the program scale-up is still at a very foundational level, it is commendable to see that given a chance, the youth can be drivers of the change and alternative leadership they so desire to see. Leveraging on the innovative use of technology, the youth are beginning in Lamu to establish networks and social capital with like-minded stakeholders to influence change and decision-making processes at subnational level, a national level, with positive impact in the county. They are partnering with state security agents and like-minded partners to identify opportunities within the blue and green economies that the youth can leverage to generate income, even as economies continue to face challenges and contract in the country, globally, and in the region. The welfare through this structure will be critical in mitigating radicalization of youth and for peace, security, and stability in the region. In Kwale, the Youth Assembly has been established in Kwale, and there is already ongoing positive impact within the community as a result of this structure. The youth they are also leveraging on this network and social capital they're building with like-minded partners to be part of security and countering violent extremism partners that are supporting their efforts and working together for peace and stability. The Kwale Youth Assembly is also leveraging its presence, visibility, and newfound voice to develop partnerships and being incorporated in subnational policy development coordination, implementation, and oversight committees where they will amplify, articulate, and present youth interests and explore, make proposals on how the youth can best be incorporated. Youth have never been a bigger part of the world population, have never been a part. The youth have never been a bigger part of world population than today. This provides both a global challenge and an opportunity. The youth demography has the value addition potential for innovation, technological research, peace, security, and sustainable development, given space, support, and meaningful inclusion in decision-making structures and processes. In Kenya today, political goodwill and multi-sectoral support to fully implement the recently adopted National Youth Policy will be critical to and deepening the role of youth in democratic processes and deepening their inclusion as responsible citizens within their community for positive change. The stability of youth initiatives and programs need to be strategically managed and coordinated by all stakeholders. It is critical that synergy, demonstrating commitment and goodwill, by partners, implementing organizations, policymakers for long-term and sustainable, meaningful youth engagement and development is realized. Looking into the future, under these unprecedented times, ICT infrastructural development and its accessibility to the vulnerable and marginalized groups will empower and enhance youth opportunities economically and their participation in political and governance spaces, further strengthening their role as key players in democracy and crafting the future. Thank you so much for your time. I now open the floor for questions. So, responding to the first question here is, how do we coordinate with local authorities, especially counties and local stakeholders? So during these times, what we have done is we have, first of all, appreciated that as much as protecting the civic space for youth engagement is critical, human lives and their well-being is the first and foremost, most important thing to remember. And as such, we have leveraged on innovative use of digital platforms to continue engaging with stakeholders around these issues of concern. We have also continued to coordinate through these local structures that own and drive these processes, to organize smaller meetings that correspond to containment measures and protocols for youth engagement with subnational authorities. When local youth engage subnational governance authorities, it brings about an element of ownership of the challenges raised and the solutions proposed. The second question is special attention given to the participation of women in youth assembly. I will first of all begin by appreciating and bringing to attention that as a country right now, as we speak, the country is also grappling with finding a solution to a holistic gender inclusion in governance and elective positions, in respect and implementation of the constitution that provides for women and youth quotas. This national conversation is being incorporated in the revision of the constitution to further articulate how women can be included in a concrete manner. However, the youth component women can be incorporated in leadership through the twinning strategy that provides an equal opportunities for both men and women youth to be included in governance and represented to also benefit and contribute in the larger national and subnational discourses. Specific plan for educating. Yeah, so do you have a specific plan for educating and diversifying young people's thoughts and perspectives in your world? I think that's a very good question, and that also comes down to the aspects of ownership, where we need to start moving from the position, or rather the mindset, that we have solutions to every challenge that youth face, and rather shift our focus towards dialogue and consultations with the youth as partners, so that they can also be a part of these discussions and crafting of plans and identifying of solutions to these thoughts and perspectives we talk about. So I think for the Oslo Center, it is important that this is a dialogue and a consultations that is not so much prescriptive, but